Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Okay, so guys, I think your trainer will be back in a bit. Let's just, yeah, he needs to sort out something. I think his network or so. So let's just hold on a bit. Okay, but before he comes up, so just one person, you can just raise your hand. So I want to hear from you. How's the training been so far? Just one or two persons, just raise your hand and then I want to hear from you. How's the training been so far? Okay, Mubarak, okay, go ahead.
It's been interesting. I won't say challenging because as a developer, I think that's part of your growth. So I think we should just put it's challenging word aside and just like, oh, it's been interesting. Yeah, we find it tough, but at the end of the day, and Mr. Oguchuk give us resources, free KodeCamp, W3 schools, to practice on, and I've been doing that. So I can't say I find it hard, just find it interesting. Like the growth mindset is there. So I think, yeah, it's been good so far.
Okay, that's fine. Love it. Let me hear you.
Okay. Good morning, everybody.
Yes, good morning.
The training so far has been very interesting. So our instructor started from the ground up, from the most basic knowledge, and he has been improving and taking us step by step. So there are some things that I didn't know about CSS before, like the flex that was taught in the last class. So I didn't know anything about it before. But with his teachings and the previous lessons, I've got to know more about it. Then also the conversations on the Slack channel is very interesting. So people like ASA Square and DK and Natasha, they are making it very interesting. And I find it fun and engaging because even while I'm at work, I make up time to go to the Slack channel and check up the messages and go back and watch the YouTube videos. So it's been an awesome journey so far.
Okay, thank you. Well, we have just one person, so let's just go ahead. Greatest, after you, the class commences. Go ahead.
All right, good morning, everybody. Honestly, KodeCamp has been great, and I am more than impressed. After my first class with Ogochukwu, I called a few of my friends and told them that, man, there's this massive opportunity, although they are not in front end, they're in UI UX, because I really can't see how KodeCamp is able to do this much for us in a short time, and we are doing it for free. If I honestly have money in the future, I think I'm going to support KodeCamp. I've learned a lot on HTML and CSS. I had a little bit of HTML knowledge from the past, but what I've understood in CSS in these 4 weeks has been massive. So thank you so much, KodeCamp. I really appreciate it. God bless.
Thank you very much to you guys also for putting in the work. Okay, so let's just go straight into the class. Thank you guys very much. Mr. Gochku, I believe you're ready now.
Well, I'm blushing.
Okay, straight to the class. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful class, guys.
Okay, yeah. So good morning, everyone. Sorry for that breaking as usual. So this was where we were last week. Tuesday. So we started building this form, started using Flex and Flexbox, play around with it, and we're able to come up with this. So I want to kind of go over this again so that we have maybe everybody's on the same page. So in case you have to work on this, I'll just go over it and then go over to what we have for today. Can you guys hear me? Okay, so that's
Yes, I can hear you well.
all right, thank you. So I'm going over this again. So when you're given something to do, first thing you have to do is, yeah, so I don't know, I think I got a couple of messages on Slack, people saying that they don't know how to handle Figma. This is Figma. Yeah, there are different, so you use it basically for design, and then use it to get what you want to implement as a developer. So our designer came up with this, and said, this is our sign up, and he wants us to implement this. Now you come to KodeCamp, you're like, where do I start from? You come to Figma rather, and you're like, where do I start from? So for those of us who have been here and there, you're having issues with Figma. Probably you want to zoom in, you want to zoom out. So if you using a mouse, you hold your control and then you scroll forward. So you're able to zoom in and zoom out. That's for navigating. And if you want to go left, you hold your shift, then you just kind of scroll up. Right. If you're using a mouse, so if you're using your trackpad, that's the one on your laptop, press your control and then you move forward and backward. That will help you to zoom in and zoom out. That is for navigating. So left and right if you want to, yeah, if you want to go left or right. So that's for navigation. Then the other thing I want us to look into is how to extract images from here. So yeah, you can also use the percentage thing. The easier way is to just scroll forward and back. So say for instance you want to get this image. Now this image is a combination of the shadow. If I click on it, you come to this section where you select a particular item or image or frame. So when you hover on it, you kind of see a so here now, you see that we have this group 7 here because the designer kind of grouped it for us. Can you guys hear me properly?
I can hear you.
Yes. Okay. So, like I was saying, this is kind of so this group here is a combination of two things. So if I open this, see that we have a rectangle. So there's a kind of rectangle on top of this. There's a rectangle on top of this, and then there's an image here. So this rectangle, when you click on this rectangle, and then you go to export. So this is export because I am the owner of this Figma board. So my export is here. Your own export will be by the side here. So if you preview first image, the first rectangle is just like a transparent frame on top of the image. So if you download or if you export just this, you will have only this frame. And then if you also do this, see now, this is just the image. So it's the image without this background. So if you do this, that means you have to now put your own kind of opacity or linear gradient on top of it so that it is dim like this. But when you export the group, come on the group now. So this is the group. You know, you see that we have this We have the frame and the image together. Same thing goes for this small icon here. We have to click and get the particular item that you want to export. So that's how that one works. Sorry. Can you hear me now?
Audio is bad, sir. It's cracking, it's breaking, sir.
How about now? Is it better? Can you guys hear me now?
Yes, sir, we can hear you slightly, sir.
Now, all right. So we've actually talked about getting images to appear now. So the next thing is how do you so we have this have two sections here. We have two sections here. Yeah. This first one has an image, while this other section has a form. So how do you get both of them to stay side by side? So this the image here. So you know when you're using divs, it usually does one on top of the other. So it stacks each of them. Now, because of use of flex, because of flex now, you're able to keep them side by side. So you have to consider like how many percent do I need? How many percent do I need for the image? How many percent do I need for the home section? So if you're good with your eyes, you'll see that the form section is wider. So you actually say, okay, this is 60%, this is 40%. Now the parent container holding the image and the sign up form itself has a width of 100%. So because you don't need to separate, just need them side by side. You just do 40% for the image and then 60%. So let me just bring up this page holder. So this page holder here, I have a section and I have a class of page holder. So inside here now we now have the image section and then the form section. Yeah, so the form section now. Now in our CSS, what was the first thing that we did? You have to reset your page first, so that you remove all external stylings and padding. So you have to reset everything. Then for this page box, okay, so for this page box, you now have to do a display flex. Since it's the parent, of I think this is the one. So for this page box, it has an ID. And this page box has an ID of page box. And then inside here we have a form container. Now this form container It's like I'm mixing things up here. If I don't accept which one is, we have this page holder, we have the page holder, we have this list. So inside here now, we kind of divided this into 40 and 60. And, so we did let me just explain. I think I've mixed things up. So you do those 40 and 60. And then because you're using a display of flex, so this section stays beside this one. So if you notice now, we have right lobes on top of this section. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir. You can hear it, sir.
Okay. So we have write-ups on top of this. Now, if you're setting this as an image in front, you won't be able to write on top of it. So this has to be a background. The guy's image has to be a background so that you're able to write on top of it. Okay, so you're able to position this. You write use a margin and adjust this one. Yeah. Then for this section now, you kind of so if it's a display of like so for this icon here. Okay, so you just go if some people can hear me, some people can. Give me a moment, guys.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Anyone with a question, can you just drop it? Spending my time at training constant. Thank you. Anyone with a question, can you just let's converse? Spending time on training constant. You can speak.
Um, Good morning, everyone. Please, I would like to find out how do I, as in, if I export an image in Figma, how do I make it a relative URL so I can host it with KodeCamp and the image will display.
If I'm getting your question, you're saying that if you export the file, how can you make it a relative URL so that you can use it on CodePen, right?
Yes.
Yeah, is either you upload it to your Google Drive, then take the link from your Google Drive and insert it as your image source. Because if you export an image from Figma, it's downloading to your local machine, and you actually need to host the link you'll be using for CodePen on a website. So it's the most advisable way to do is just take the link and upload it to your Google Drive. Then use the link. Thank you.
Thank you very
Okay,
much.
okay.
Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Okoye, actually.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
No problem. So my question is, when we're told to, I encountered a slight problem when I was trying to export the image from Figma, but I think he just pointed it out now. Though this thing he was using as an illustration, it had like a dark image on top of that image. So when I went to my Figma to download it, it was only the dark one I kept downloading. So I don't know, but he just said something like we have to make that other image the main image with the person inside a background. So what now happens to the dark one? Is it that we'll place it on top also? I don't know if you got my question.
Yeah, if I get your question well, you're saying that okay, this image has a gradient on it.
Yes.
Yeah, so in CSS, there's something you call linear gradient. You actually impute it with your image. It forms like a background shadow over it. So that's why you use an RGBA. You use a light RGB, then you now add some shadow over it, maybe 40 between 255, 225, 225, 225. When you get a dark background, then you now use the opacity to reduce it. Like that's what you call RGB. There's 0 point, maybe 0.8. If you put to 0.8, you will get this kind of background. I hope you get that.
Okay. Yes, I get it now. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Yeah, so please can go ahead.
Okay, can you guys hear me better? Can you guys hear me?
Yes, you can, yes.
All right.
Yes.
Sorry. Yeah, sorry for all of that. I had to change position actually. I had a question. So I was explaining what you could do actually. So for this image now, when you want to export it, aside using an opacity, so you have to confirm if it is a grouped picture. Always check the preview. When you want to export an image, always check the preview. What are you downloading? What are you exporting? Because if you select the first one, you're going to get just this. I think that was what Neme was facing. So you're going to get just the linear gradient or just this. Or if you select just the image, you're only going to get the image alone. But check if it is good. If it is good, you get everything at once. And you're able to use that without having to add your own opacity in it. So is it better now? Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
So we can hear you, so.
All right. So let's just go on. So let's go on. Let me just explain kind of mixed up some files here, so try and just explain what we did. Okay. Okay, so as I was saying, we have this form section, we have the form section, and then we have the image section here. So this image section, so I'll just find it. So the image section, we had to use a width. Yeah, so this is the image section. So the image section has a width of 40%. We now give it the background. We don't want it to repeat background size. You have to ensure that it is a height of 100 VH. So like I said, 100 VH is your view at a glance. Then the same thing goes for the form section. So the form section takes a width of 60%, same height of 100 VH, and then you need some padding because if you look at this now, you see that we have padding here around it. So this is the image section and the form section. Now inside this form section, now because this is where the main work is, we didn't even go on to add all these things inside here. Yeah, I think we can actually handle that. So this section now, first thing, we have a logo at this top. Yeah. So when you look at the form section, so this is where we did this. So you see that we have the inner form box. So the inner form box is the box that holds everything inside here. So I have to use that. So it's this box that has this blue this in here. So I had to use that. And then you see that we have this logo here. So that is the logo section. So this logo section. Now this logo section contains our logo now. So if you check here, you see that it has a display of flex. So that display of flex is for us to be able to play around with the image inside there, because normally if you add it, if you just add the image like that, this image is actually going to be here, but we want it to be at this end. So what did we do? We now had to do display flex, justify content, flex end. So we had to put it at the end of this Flexbox. So that's why we're able to place it at this point here. After that, what did we do again? Coming back here. So after that, we have a H1 with our sign up. We now have the form. So the form is a regular form, a regular procedure that we've been using. So that's you doing the input box. So if it's the first one that we actually did, you have an input box. Inside the input box, you have the label, and then you have the normal input field there. Now, because this one is different, we kind of have to use a different approach to place them side by side. So normally we would have done one per row, but because we are doing it side by side. So how do you handle this now? You need to set. So we created this form row, which is going to hold. So you know what a row is now? A row is like everything on one line. So that's why we created the form row. Now inside this, we now have the input box. The input box is what is holding the label and the input field itself. So because we want them side by side, we now have to set a particular percentage for each box, for each input box. Now, you notice they have a space in between both of them. So this is the space I'm talking about. So we have this space here. So if the way we shared this one, we did 40, 60. Now, normally would have done 50, 50s so that they will be equal. But the thing with doing 50, 50 is that they will be joined together. This first name will join together with this last name. But because we want a space in between both of them, so instead of giving them exactly 50, we just subtracted part of it. So if you check now, so this is form row, and then we are targeting the input box. So we give a width of 48%. So the remaining, so we have 1%, I mean 2% from here, 2% from the other. So because there are two input boxes, so 48%, that means we have 2% coming out from here. The other 2% coming out from this one. Now, Flex can actually take different things. It can take justify content, it can take align items. So we're actually supposed to play around with all of this and then see what it gives us. Okay, so here, this is our form row. And this is our form row. We did a display of Flex so that these two things. So let me just remove this space between, save it, and then we see what it looks like. So when you actually just do display Flex, so display Flex just joins this one, this other section. So the two of them, they are just joined together. But because we have some space here, if you see this logo, there's some space at this end now. But we want that space not to be at the end, but in between both of them. So we now have to use another property, which is justify content space between. So that space between gives a space in between both of them. So it kind of shares it between both sides. So when you're able to get that first row, so the other styling is something that we've been doing over time. So I kind of see people not styling out their input field very well. And I'm wondering why that is. So because we've actually gone over it, and we've done it a couple of times. So I don't know why people are actually having that issue with styling it properly. So let me come back here. So when you're able to get this first row, so you just need to duplicate for the next one and just change the content in it. So if you're using a select, you probably just need to leave the label, change the input to an input of select, and you just keep going until you get to the end of that particular list. So I don't know, does anybody have a question before? Does anybody have a question? Janet, yeah.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
I'm very sorry, please. I don't really get how to separate the whole page. Like I will separate the image section and the font section because I just copy your own format to do my so I don't get how to separate the whole page. Like how do we really do that?
Okay. Okay, so I said you have to section your page into two parts according to what we have here now. So I'm going to inspect it so that we just see what is happening here. So when you inspect and you come on top of this, okay, so if you check now, so this image section has a width of 40%. This image section has a width of 40%, which is this part. If I remove this, and then this form section, I also remove this width. You see that everything has fallen apart. So you have to divide your page into two sections. The first one, the image section, I'll stack them one over the other first. But you have to put it in a parent div. So that parent div or section, you have to do a display of flex on it. So when you do a display of flex, it kind of places both of them side by side. But what will help them to stay and not scroll off the page is the percentage that you give to it. Make sure that everything sums up to 100%. So if this is 40% or if this is 50%, if it's 50%, know that the other side will be 50%. If it is 40%, know that the other side, the remaining part will be 60%. So I don't know if that answers your question.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. So who else has the question? So I want to believe that we understand how we're able to do this form row section. I'd like to believe that we understand how to do it. Nobody is confused about it, right? Question, yeah.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Please, I want to know on the HTML file, like
yes.
when you want to relate a code to the HTML file to CSS, like for example, now the form section side. When you do form section, then those are terms where you cover it on the form section.
So this is form section. Okay.
When you want to relate to this form section on the CSS,
okay. So
is everything on the form section that you are relating precisely on the form section?
So your question is not really coming out the way it's supposed to be.
Yes.
So
I don't know. Like actually, I don't know terms to use to address those signs you put on CSS to relate to form section itself. Like you have form section, you have page header.
Okay. So do you understand? Do you know the difference between classes and IDs? If you want to call the class, the difference between classes and IDs.
Oh yeah, yes.
Okay. So in your CSS now, if you want to call an ID, what do you use?
For my CSS, if I want to relate to an ID, how do I use it? Is that what you mean?
Yes, yes. That's what I mean.
Yeah, normally you
get my
do ID. Yeah, ID equals to then you relate to the term that is in the ID.
We're talking about CSS now. So let me just explain something now. So if you're using a class, you use this dot. Now, the form section I was talking about, the form section is a class. That's why I'm using a dot. If it's an ID, I will use I don't even know what they call it. I'll use the hash if it's an ID. So that's how I'm able to call it from my HTML. That's how I'm able to call it. Because I don't know if that clarifies.
So when you use hash on the CSS file, is relating to all ID on HTML file or a particular ID?
It relates to a particular ID because you have to write the name of that ID. This is page box. Yeah. Or it's form section that we are dealing with. Sorry. If it's form row that we are dealing with, when you come to your when you come here now, you see that we have form row. It's a class. So it's pointing directly to this class. If it's an ID, it points directly to the particular ID. So that's the way it's actually, that's how it works. Okay. I believe that answers your question.
It's good. Thank you. Yeah, sure.
All right. So Victor, your question. Okay, Sandra, you can go on.
Okay. Good morning.
Sorry, sir. Hello. Good morning.
My question.
Yes, Victor. Let's hold on. Let Sandra. Okay, Sandra, go on. So
my question is in the image section, you use background image.
Yeah.
So I would like to ask, what is the difference between using background image and image, normal HTML image? What's the difference between using CSS background image? Like when do you use background image and
Let me answer that. Okay, so when you use background image when you want to write on top, when you want text to be on top of the image. So I'm just going to demonstrate that. So this is our image section now, and I want to add a text on top of it. So let me just say H1, and then I do code. I save that. So you see, we have KodeCamp here. But when you have an image here, whatever you write is going to be under that image, except you use positioning to place it on top of the image, which I feel is a lot of work. I feel it's something that you can avoid, you avoid it. So you use background whenever you want a text to be on top of it. If you want text to be on top of the image, use background. But if you just need only that image to be there, you just use the image directly there. Does that answer your question?
Okay. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Victor, your question.
Hello, sir. Good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning, sir. Sorry, sir. I really want to navigate through the Visual Studio Code to the main form background. I don't really understand how to navigate through it. I don't know whether it has to do with a different browser entirely. Am I supposed to open a different browser for the form? Hello?
It's not a different browser.
Is it still part of the form?
Yes. It's Chrome.
I can't really get through it. So I don't know where am I supposed to link it up with.
Okay, so the whole reason for the Slack group is when you have issues, bring it up on Slack so that people can actually help you out, ask you those questions. Because now I have to keep going back and forth to explain to say some things. So I think you should bring up this question on Slack so that people can attend to it. All right. Does that help out? Okay, so please let's just continue. So I want to one other thing I want to talk about now is this button here. So the same way you position, can you guys still hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you, sir.
All right. So this button here, there are a few things that are happening on it because I want us to actually complete this form. So there are a few things. So if you notice, we have these edges. The edge is curved here. So how do you add this, or how do you style your button to be like this? So you need to confirm. So go to inspect. You have to check. Select the button. Go to inspect. When you go to inspect, you need to check. You need to check the border radius. So you see that we have a border radius. The first one, just the normal way that we've been doing it. So top, it just goes from, so it goes same clockwise direction. So you have border radius, 10 pixels, and 0. So 0 is for the section that doesn't have a curve. So it goes like this, 10 pixels, it goes 10 pixels up and bottom. So this takes top and bottom, top and bottom, which is so 10 pixels. So if you come here, 10 pixels, it takes here and here. Then the other one takes 0 pixels, so it doesn't have an edge. So it's as in it's not curved rather. So that's what basically happens there. So that's how you'll be able to style out this button. But every other thing here, I believe we can actually handle this out. Does anybody have a question based on that? Yeah, Cassie.
Okay, sir. Good morning, sir. Please.
Yeah, good morning.
Is the button an input element or button element, or is it an href element? Sorry, I got confused. I'm trying to use button and it's not really showing me the same thing.
So the thing is, you can use an input. When you use an input, you can actually style it to get this experience. you can style it to be like this. Give it a background, you give it a color, you give it a whole curved edges. So you can actually do that. Now, even if it's a button that you're using, you can actually still style it out to be like this. So, but when, like I said, if you use an anchor tag is basically for linking to a different page. So you're not using an anchor link here, except you want to move to another page. That's when you use an anchor tag. You understand that?
Okay. Yes, yes, sir. Thank you very much.
All right. So please, guys, let's just go over to something else. You can actually handle the whole form till. So if you have questions, you ask on Slack. This is the main thing that we actually have to do today. So can you guys see my screen?
Yes, sir. We can see your screen, sir.
Okay, so we've actually been. All right, thank you so much. So we've actually been working. We've actually been doing forms, but forms are not the only things that you have to work on. So there is a whole lot of other things you can actually build with your HTML and CSS. So for today, we're actually supposed to work on building out a web page. So we are starting out with this web page. So now, how are we going to start this out? How do we start this out? So I believe most of us have been expecting to work on something of this nature, or not just having to work on forms. So yeah, it is. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to just I don't want us to get confused. So I'm going to start all over. I'm going to create a folder. I'm going to link it up so that we don't get confused. So this is so the name of our site is Fin Suites. So I've created that folder because I don't want us to get confused about what CSS we're doing or what this we're doing. So I'm opening this. So this is our folder. Please, let's pay serious attention to what I'm doing here so that don't get confused. All right, so the usual way you create your CSS folder, create your images folder. Then I will start with my index HTML. All right. All right, so I'm going to start out with my HTML. Okay, so I'm changing this to Fin Suites. So I need to add my CSS file. So I'm going to create that now, style.css. So here now, the normal linking you do it here. So it has to start with the folder name style. I mean CSS rather. CSS. So you've done that now. So let me confirm that I'm linked properly. So I press Control and click, and it takes me to style the CSS. So on the right footing. So let's look at this. So first things first, you need to understand what you have to do. What is it that we have to do? So we have the header here. So this is like the navigation bar. So your navigation bar is where you have the logo, that's the brand. You now have links, then some informational stuff. So these links take you to different pages. If you look at this, this is a very huge, project. This is like a lot of pages. But we're actually going to start with a landing page, which is this. So how do we go about this? So your knowledge of Flexbox and Flex, yeah, using them interchangeably will help you to understand how to work on this. So this is, if you notice, this is the logo, these are the links, and then we have this section. So we're going to start out with creating all of this. So I want us to take note of a few things, Sha. So you see that on your web page, on this page now, we have this space here. So we have this space here, and we also have this space at this end. But our content is in between here. So we would like a situation where we can handle this section, and then this, as in we'll have these spaces when we are creating our web page. So let's see how we'll get that. So the first thing that we need to do is starting with my header section. So I'm going to call the header tag. Right. So inside the header, what do we have? So let's look at this. So we have the logo here. And then on this other side now, we now have the links. And then this other stuff here. So this is what we are going to do. We're going to do, I'm going to use the text here because let's just, let me see. So the logo is actually an image. Okay, but okay, let's just go on share. So I'm doing the header. I'm going to create a section for the logo. So I'm going to put logo. So my logo is actually going to be there. Then if you notice now for this other section. For this other section now we have links, and then we have this road assistance. So let me just zoom out. So I'm just going to call it right section. Because it's the whole, apart from the navigation, we have some other stuff there. So right section. All right. So this is our logo section. We're supposed to put our logo here. So I'm going to just export it. So watch what I do. So here now I'm selecting the logo. So I'm actually going to export it. So I'm coming down here, export. Now I need to do a preview to see what I'm actually exporting. So you see that we have this Figma suite here, which is a logo. can export in different forms, JPG, SVG, PDF, whatever. So I'm going to export it in PNG format. So if I click on export, so I've actually downloaded it. Okay, so I need to get that image into, I need to get the image into my folder. So this is downloads. So I'll just copy it. So I need to find, okay, so inside here, so this is my IMG, I paste it inside. So I'm going to rename this. I want to use a small letter. So I need just logo. Right. So this logo section now, I need to import, or I need to add my IMG. So I'm going to get it from img/logo. So we have a class of so not even a class, sorry, and alternates first. So let me just say company. So I'm going to go live. Let's see what we have. So this is just what we have for now. Now, this right section, it has a couple of things. So the first one is that we have these links here: home, about us, services, blog, contact. So we want to start on that. So first things first. So I'm just going to create another div inside here. I'm just going to call it navigation. Now inside this navigation, I'm going to do a UL and another list. So this unordered list is what is going to hold each of these items. So the home, the about us, the services, the blog. So it's just going to be a list. So I'm just going to do LI. And inside the LI, you use an anchor tag. So I'm just going to use a pound. I don't know why I'm calling it pound. Sure. I'm just going to use an hash this. And then I'm going to now say about, home first. So I'll just duplicate. The next one is about us. The next one is services, blog, then contact. Then contact. So let's see what we have now. So this is what we have. So going back again, let's see. So we also have this road assistance section. So I'm just going to create another div after our navigation. So this is the navigation section. I'm closing this. And I'm just going to say road and spell. So inside here now, so we have this phone icon. So I'm just going to say icon. And then we have this road assistance and then a phone number here. So I'm just going to say yeah, so we'll actually see why all those things are happening. So let's start. So this road assistance. So we need to add this, we need to put these two things. So we have, so I'm just going to call it inner section. So we have a paragraph as road assistance. Then below it, we now have maybe a H6 that has a phone number. So I'm just going to get that phone number from here. All right, let's see what we have. Okay, so wow, it's like our paragraph is even bigger than our H6. What's going on? So I'll just use a paragraph for both of them so that they are balanced. Okay, so this is what we have now. Everything is so scattered. Okay, so this, let's now fix things in their own place now. So let's, so something that, okay, let me start. So first thing, we need to reset the page. So we do the asterisks, then we do margin. Zero, padding, 0, box sizing, border box. All right, so done that. So everything is now together. So those extra, you see what happens when, without doing all these things. So when we now remove the space or remove all external paddings and margins, everything now was able to fit in properly or adjust a bit. Now, I want to create a new class now. I want to call that class container. And we'll see why I'm doing that. So I'm closing my right section. So let's just take it one at a time. It's quite unfortunate that network decided to ruin a couple of things. So, yeah, we'll be fine. Okay, so we have a container class. Now that container class is holding the logo and then the right section. Now, what do I want to do with the container class? So I talked about having spaces at this edge. So you see that we have space here. We also have space here. And then our content is just in the center. The same thing for the header. That's what happened. So here now, going to call that container class. And then I'm going to give it a width of 80%. Sorry. Now 80% is because I want my content to occupy 80% of my screen. So if I put a border now, let me just put the border so that we see what is going on. So I put a border on Excel. So okay, so let's just see. So this is 80%, and then we have this extra space here. But now you want to centralize everything. You want to centralize this whole div. So what do you do? So I'm going to do a margin up and bottom. We don't want it to get affected, but we want it to automatically center itself. So we do 0 bottom. So this is what we have now. So the next thing now is to handle. I think there's another oversight here. Okay, so this, our container is handling this, but we still need another div that will hold these two things. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to create another div. Don't get confused with all the divs. I have a friend that will say it is devices. So we have plenty divs. So that's why sometimes you just interchange it with section so that it doesn't get confusing. So I'm putting my logo inside here, and we'll see the reason why I'm doing this. So I'm just going to give this a class, and I'll just say main header. Okay, so we have a container. The function of the container is to keep it away from the edges so that we have spaces there. This main header now, let's do this. So for the main header, we are going to do a display of flex. So we did a display flex of it. So you see, this is what we have now. We have the logo, and then we have this right section. They are now side by side. So the next thing that we want to do, okay, so nice one, Amos. We're actually supposed to get that. That's this. So let me just do that since I have been reminded about it. So let's just export this at once. So this is it. So I'm just going to export this so that we know that we are done with image for the header section. So is the better way of doing this. So permit me. So I go to downloads. So this is my image. Just drag it to my IMG folder. Yeah. So let's rename this let's call it call. Okay, so I think that is so let's update that. So let's come back to the real world. So let's come back to the real world. Okay, so now we've placed the logo and this right section side by side. That's what this main header did for us. So it placed them side by side. Now, this right section, we have this navigation where the navigation now has. So the navigation now has this UL inside here. So I'm going to call right section. Inside the right section now, we'll call the UL. Yeah. So the UL, now I don't want a list style. So those dots, I don't need them. That's why I'm just going to list style of none. So let's see what we have. So the dots are out. Then I want to separate these two things now. See that from this our design now, we have this on one end, this on the other end. So does anybody know what I can do to separate both of them? Yeah, I have a display flex on my main header. So the main header is the parent, yes. So what else do I do to separate both of them? Yes, we have display flex already. Okay, so I'll just do a, okay, hands are raised, all right. Okay, what's up below, man? All of it, you can go on, yeah.
Okay, please. My question, I have a question, sorry. What do you want to separate? You want to separate the list from the logo?
Yes, the whole right section from the logo, yes.
Okay, you give it a margin. You give it a margin left to separate it from that logo. And then in order to get the another list be on the same line, you give it a display flex.
All right, all right. So this is what happens. So let's just go on. So I don't want to use the whole margin system. So I could just use justify content space between. So we have them on extremes now. So the other thing, let's see. Yeah, space between. We use space around. It will now adjust the fin suite logo and then adjust this other section. So it's space between that you use. Yeah. So let's just go on. Yeah. So if you notice, this our UL and the L is actually supposed to be on one line. So how do we do that? We're going to do the same display of flex on the UL. Use this one. So okay, I think I I had an instance yesterday. Someone had someone's theme or something was not working well. And the problem was that there was the person misclosed putting a semicolon. So these things they have their function. Sometimes they can be forgiving, but sometimes they can be harsh. So this is what we have. So we're still far away from home. So our list is actually on this. Okay, the links are one close to the other, one by the other. So we actually need to make everything to be on the same line. So this is what. Okay. So the space around. Let's see what the space around looks like. All right. So this is what happens when you use space around. The space between is what you want the space in between. All right. So let's continue. So I'm reverting to what I already had. So space between. So let's look at our HTML now. So we have this right section. This right section, well, we're going to display of flex so that the navigation can be on the same line as the road assistance. So let me see, what's the name of that right section, right? So I'm just going to do right section. And I'll do a display of flex. So knowledge of flex will help you to understand this thing. So this is what we have now. So we are getting there little by little, little by little. So the image that we exported, the image we've exported, we've not actually used it. So let me just put that image in front. So this is all the PNG that we brought in. So this is our icon. I'm just going to do another IMG. And we'll reference the IMG slash the call, the PNG. Just give it also broadcasts. Okay. So let's see what it looks like. So this is what we have. So you notice that we still have this. So we have this on top of this. So the next thing, we need to do another display of flex on this section. So this road assistance. Sorry, guys. Okay, sorry about that. So this road assistance contains the icon and then this inner section. So we need to do another display of flex on it so that it is actually side by side. So a whole lot of flex just in one section. Yeah. So this is what we have. So a little bit of issue that we have now is that, see now, our logo is hanging, our links are also hanging, and then this, so they are not just balanced. So we need to find a way of fixing that. Now, what do we think we can use to actually make these things to be on the same line? So, because if you see now, everything is some are on the top, some are below, and all of that. What do we think? Can use to achieve? Okay. Yeah. Yes, align items, not center. Okay, I align items center. So justify content that actually does the crazy thing. So let's do an align items here. So on the main header now, we need to align items center. So let's see how that works out. So this and this, they've actually balanced out. We still have this one still hanging here. All right, so for us to do that, so we need to come to this our right section, and then we do align items to align items center. So you see now we have this on the same line now. But then these our links. Our links are just, they are not looking nice. So we have to fix that so that we can actually make headway. So we have spaces here. So we're going to fix this now. So we need to target. So we did our UL the last time. So do so right section, and then the targets the lists now, the individual lists. So you need a margin. Let me see, margin left. Margin right, actually, margin right. So coming from the right, need some space. So I'm using 20 pixels coming from the right. So 20 pixels. So let's see what that gives us. So 20 pixels, and then you're adjusting it. Okay, so we have this. So we need to remove the underlines. So for you to remove the underline, so that underline is actually a text decoration. So, and it works only for anchor tags. So you need a text decoration of none. Then we need a color, because by default, anchor tags are usually blue. So we want it to be black. So you can just say a normal black. Let's see what we have. So this is what we have now. So let's see. There's something that we're missing. So if you notice, we have some padding at the top and at the bottom. So we want to do that. So we just do a padding top and bottom of, let's say, let's look at 15 pixels. So we're going to do that on the main header. Top and bottom. Let me just do 20 pixels. Left and right, let's do 5 pixels. So this is what we have. So I think I need to remove this border. I really well understand what is happening. So I'm removing the border on the container. So, so the number of the lines of code, they keep increasing. So when you charge now, you know that you have to charge properly. You don't just charge anyhow. All right, so this is what we have. Let's see. So just for how many hours we've just been on this header. So you see that we have this line here. So I'm just going to do a border right for this whole. So let's see our index again. So this is the navigation. So for this navigation, we're going to do a border right. So I'm going to call right section dot navigation. And I'm going to do border right. Border right of 2 pixels. Solid. I'm just going to use gray color. Let's see. So we have this. We have it, but it's close to this other guy. It's close to this. So we need to give some sort of padding. So we need to give some, we need to give some padding here. So some padding to the left and to the right. Or some padding to the right, actually. So let's check, what do we have to touch? So we have the inner section. So road assistance. So basically road assistance. So let's target the road assistance. So give a padding right. Sorry, padding left. So this is what we have now. And then we still have some space here. So we need to target the icon, give it some padding to the left over it to the right. So road assistance plus icon, we give it margin right. So say margin right of 10 pixels. Okay, so this is what we have now. This is what we have now. So we're able to achieve all of this. We're able to achieve this section now. So the other things that we want to improve on is making this to be thicker, making these other ones to be thicker. But I think I'll just skip that for now. So can we take on another side? So, is anybody confused so far? Okay, Merit. Yeah.
Okay, good morning. Alona, I wanted to ask this question before we end the class. Though it's not about the header that you just made now, it's on the previous form. To write the background image we created before, you said we should not, or it's not advisable that we use image. If not, we're going to image on the HTML file. If not, we're going to apply positioning. Now, my question is, on the background, can't we apply positioning to at least make the join the escort part of that text on the background? Like position that join the escort part below the text, I put the normal positioning, top, left, and all that. Is it that we cannot do that because it's a background image? So that's my question.
Okay, so if I'm actually getting your question now, you're saying, are you exporting? You want to? Did I get that question well? So you want to use positioning for the text?
Yes, yes.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. You can actually do that, but I think that's the longer route because when you use a background, you're just able to write on top of the image. It's just like you can just put text on top of it. But using position, that is you giving yourself more.
So the question is how do we now bring the text? How do we now bring that text to it's not really at the center of the page, maybe a little bit below the center of the page, like put it to that position?
So you can use margin.
And padding. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Does anybody have any other question? So, sincere apologies. Like maybe I think this position I'm saying it, I think it's better also. So probably subsequent classes, I believe network won't really be an issue. We'll try and cover. If you have questions, really, if you have questions, bring it up on Slack. So that we don't really have to go back and forth things that we are supposed to have known. So it kind of drags us. So we have to explain things that we have passed. So it's not a good practice. So if you have questions, bring it up on Slack. So, I don't know if we want to also play around with this one. So I saw it. Are you asking if you get the code or if you what's your question? Is it a question or a comment?
No, I'm just like asking if we get the code, like the way you did on Tuesday's class, and not the Figma link.
Okay. All right. So I can do that. I'll send it across to you guys. Anybody that wants to play around with it. I know it's a bit tricky. There's a whole lot of flex, and then we still need to understand some things. So I'm actually going to send it. I'll send it across, and then just play around with it. If you have questions, I'll answer them. Yeah, Joy. What's your question?
Good morning, sir. You said you're going to send it to us. How? Privately or on the group?
I'll send it on the group.
All right.
I didn't send it to how many people? Just 40 something earlier. And that's a whole lot of work. So today's class was not very, the only thing that we could achieve was just the header. So I believe the next class we should actually do more if we bring up our questions on Slack and not asking us here. Yeah. So I think this is where we'll call off. So we'll end the class here. So any question you ask on the Slack.
Please, I have a question.
Okay, yeah, Gillian. Yeah.
Okay. So please, how did you do to like obtain the spaces between the header, like the home, the about us, and the services? Like, how did you do to obtain that space?
Okay. So since I use the list, yeah. So since I use the list, I kind of, so this is my right section, and I have another list that has the about. So these are the list items inside the about and all of that. So I did a margin right. So margin right kind of adjusts things. Sorry, this is, yeah. So this margin right adjusts things for you. Let me just inspect so that you see that. So this is the list. So you see there's kind of space. So the text is there, but we still have some space at the end there. So using margin right, that's how you can adjust it. Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. Okay, so we'll call it off now. Thank you guys for coming. So, talk on Slack.